Let the fantasy news flow. Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and today I feel the need to put a disclaimer before a lot of the stories we're going to cover, because they involve heavy legal implications, and I am just a news aggregate. I'm going to do my best to report on what has been stated so far, but if you're going to try and form strong opinions on this stuff, I highly encourage you to do your own research. There's only so much I can cover, an amount of detail I can get into, and the amount of time allotted for an episode of Fantasy News like this. And with 3 large stories that have pretty big implications, 2 of which are already legal issues, there's probably going to be some minor slip-ups or pieces of information I can't include. So look into this on your own. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the fantasy news. Starting with a couple lighter stories, first of which, Joe Abercrombie has actually released the cover copy for his next book, The Wisdom of Crowds. That's right, if you're an Abercrombie fan, you don't need to wait too long to start getting apparently snippets of the next book in his ongoing trilogy, The Age of Madness. I love it! Oh, I love it, and I'm so excited and happy to see A Trouble with Peace receiving such strong response from the fans so far. I just love the first Law world. Moving on to the next piece of quickie news here. The British Fantasy Awards have released their 2020 short list, so if you want to go see if some of your favorite reads are on there, go ahead and check out that link down below, and of course, once the results here are released, I will be covering them in the future as well. And finally, Neil Gaiman was asked on Twitter, what are you going to do about the fact that Netflix kind of cancels all of its shows after about 3 seasons? And Neil Gaiman responded, the short answer, which I will not be expanding on, is there are safeguards in place. Oh, Neil Gaiman. Flexing that author muscle, I love it. Basically, this is Neil Gaiman saying like, I'm Neil Gaiman, and Netflix won't do that because we have measures in place, and I think that's pretty awesome. And Sandman is going to be something I think a lot of people are looking forward to, and is of all of Netflix throw it at the wall strategy and see what sticks, probably one of the most likely projects to stick, because there's a huge fan base for Sandman out there, and they have a pretty awesome cast involved. Money, Daniel here to bring you Campfire Blaze. Are you looking for a way to organize your storytelling and bring all of your ideas into one cohesive spot? Campfire's here with our latest iteration that you can try for free for the remaining days in the month of October. And from there, you take the components you like, you stack them together and build your own subscription model. Isn't that amazing? You pay the price you want to pay. You choose how much you want to pay for Campfire. It's incredible. What models am I talking about? Character sheets, timelines, relationship builders, encyclopedias. If someone asks you what language do your trees speak, you can answer it. Here's what you want to see how, do you want to buy Campfire and Tree? This is how you say it, listen. That's how you say it, because I can organize my languages now because Campfire. Go ahead and click the link in the description down below. You can start building the next Lord of the Rings, the next Malazan, the next whatever your favorite series is so I can relate to you. Give me a sec, 1 second. Whatever relates to you, whatever your favorite series is, just go ahead and check out the link in the description down below and sign up for Campfire Blaze today. You know what? They're such a chill company that let me do ad spots like this, which keeps it fun and engaging, and I just appreciate that. So just go ahead and give it a try if you'd like to in the link down below, or don't. Back to the video. All right. Let's transition into the first of the 3 big stories we're going to be getting in here today. And this is going to be from a post on the r/fantasy subreddit from Josh Erickson. And this is going to be about a possible glitch or ongoing, I don't even know what to call this, problem with Audible between itself and the authors it's providing a platform to. So Audible's already gotten flack in the past for taking such a large cut of the sales of the audiobooks in its platform. Josh even notes here in his post it can be between 60 to 75%. God damn! But recently, through a glitch that occurred, it was just shown to Josh, and I assume many other authors who also pressed this issue, just how much of their sales they potentially lose due to the returns Audible allows. And if you're not aware of this, allegedly, Audible has actually been kind of slackening its return policy fantasy so that they can then boost their sales numbers through other means. The problem is, though, the authors then don't see anything from the return that happens. And I'm gonna note here, I actually wouldn't think this is as big a problem if it wasn't the fact that apparently, according to Josh here, Audible was pretty aggressively trying to hide this practice behind a curtain, not showing authors these numbers and just letting all this occur in the background. But here's how just much this return situation is affecting these authors. Josh notes, again, they don't report it to us. For me, it turned out to be almost half of what I'd sold. I'm not perfect, but I don't think my books are that bad. And how could it be that high? Well, allegedly, again, Audible is actually kind of promoting this return feature right now. So if you're an author, someone has then got your book, read it, returned it, and you make nothing from this because Audible's not enforcing any measure of you completing the book and then returning it. Now, I want to have full transparency here. I have definitely finished a book on Audible in the past and without thinking just gone, I'm going to return it and get a new one because I didn't enjoy it for XYZ reasons. And I didn't realize I was buying into an issue this big and that an author would actually be hurt by this. I assumed Audible and or Amazon would be the one taking the loss, and that's why I didn't feel too bad. I'll obviously be stopping that now, and there are things happening in the background here for me to be switching off of Audible to begin with. So to clarify, according to this post, Audible is taking between 60 to 75% of the revenue from its credit sales to these authors. It is then not telling them how many of these are done through returns and how many of these returns are actually after people complete the book. And as Josh says, it's roughly half of what he would sell. So this seems to be a huge systemic exploitation of this, and Audible's not necessarily incentivized to fix it because they're still making the money and it's just inflating their numbers behind the scenes. Authors are just being made aware of the fact that there seems to be some real disconnects going on. Keep in mind, this is just Josh's side of things. I don't know beyond that, but it's not looking great, especially if everything he's saying is true. There's also a top comment on this post that does worry me about making this exploitation with Audible more known of people abusing the returns will just cause the issue to get worse because more people will do it. I believe the majority of people really do want to support authors and therefore will not exploit this problem. So please don't. I actually just want to bring awareness to this, that there's a greater chance it could actually be changed. I feel like if this is a big enough uproar around this problem, Audible might change the practice because it's pretty not okay to me to hide the numbers of returns from authors, take the money from them without letting them know just how much of their sales it would be. And yeah, I don't think, as Josh said here, his books are probably bad enough to equal it being half without this being a tremendous problem behind the scenes. Josh's books are not that poorly reviewed. Josh does note that he believes Audible is encouraging this practice. I personally have never received anything from Audible encouraging me to make a return, so I don't know if that's necessarily true, but either way, it's an issue in the system, and I'm not gonna be one of these people who tells you, never use Audible again, boycott entirely, because I understand the convenience, and a lot of people have massive libraries there they can't just abandon. Maybe make the fact that you aren't supporting this known, stop returning things, and, you know, maybe tweet at Audible, I don't know. This is just something that more people are aware of it. I feel like the better chance that has of actually being solved, because I don't believe authors should be in this situation. So I do want to bookend this story with just adding two little notes here. One, throw an allegedly over all of this to cover my butt, because I don't know what the legal implications are of covering something like this, so I'm just going to throw a big old allegedly over the whole thing. And finally, I also wouldn't really have a problem with this if Audible just made two changes. Consistently let authors know how many returns are happening, that's all right, and not let people finish a book and return it and advertise that to people after they finish a book. It's just a real scummy abuse of the system where like Audible still gets the money from the credit, you get to cycle through a bunch of authors, but only one of the authors will end up getting compensated, which is just not cool. All right, now let's just kind of have a little bit of a throwback time here for fantasy news with this next story, talking about how Game of Thrones, the show, had another actor who was upset during the creation process, and this time it's Emilia Clarke. I believe, again, she's come out upset about it before, but she's now pushing back on the choice to make Daenerys so cold in the final episodes. According to this article, she really wanted that to not be such a consistent trait, saying, "There were a number of times I was like, why are you giving me that note? While I'm quite consistently a how can I help kind of person, there were a few moments where I was like, don't tell me what to do with my girl, I know what to do." It's like Daenerys' calling card became cold, expressionless. I always wanted to infuse that with some humanity because no one's consistently like that. I would sometimes fight back a little. I get that she has to be a steely and unforgiving and powerful force, but in this moment, she's also a goddamn human being, so I'm not going to give you that, and I really pray you take that in the edit. This article then goes on to note several of the other casts that have come forward and had issues before, as well as a cut romance that the actor involved called creepy if they had made it happen. He just flat out refused and got on for that. Man, I feel like for years to come, we're just gonna keep getting these nuggets of just Game of Thrones show failures behind the scenes. Well, let's go ahead and get into the next big legal thing here, and this one's even harder for me to cover than the Audible one, so boy oh boy, let's talk about Bethesda. If you've been paying attention to gaming recently, I'm sure you've seen some of the headlines alleging Bethesda intentionally sabotaged Rune 2 to protect the Elder Scrolls lawsuit update claims. Bethesda and ZeniMax conspired to sabotage Elder Scrolls rival Rune 2 lawsuit claims. Bethesda sued for $100 million after alleged intentional sabotage of Rune 2 to protect the Elder Scrolls. Now, this is an update to a lawsuit that was actually opened in December of 2019. This is a complex one, and after reading everything involved, I'm still not entirely sure I understand it. There's essentially a studio who is a competitor to Bethesda with their Elder Scrolls franchise that has made a game called Rune 2, and they're alleging there was some shady business rebranding and looks behind the scenes and betrayals of allowing the team behind Bethesda to get a look at their game, all kinds of stuff to then sabotage the success of their game. And well, I do see some shady stuff happening. It's confusing, but honestly, I think their claims are a stretch. So let's try to get into the breakdown of how this started and where it's developed to. In December of 2019, Rune 2 publisher Ragnarok Game sued original developer Human Head Studios, alleging that Human Head had attempted to destroy the game by very publicly abandoning it on launch day, and then refusing to turn over the source code and assets so another developer could take over the job. The lawsuit has now been amended to include ZeniMax Media and Bethesda Softworks, which announced in November 2019, the day that Human Head went out of business, that it had hired the entire team and reassembled it in Roundhouse Studios. Human Head's initial Roundhouse announcement implied that the studio had reached out to Bethesda after the decision to close had been made, but the updated complaint says Bethesda was an active participant in an effort to torpedo Rune 2 and another game called Oblivion Song, and had begun conspiring with Human Head in the late summer 2019. There's more allegations here, including like giving Bethesda an early look into the game before it was released, they know as a competitor. And I really don't know here because all we're seeing is one-side allegations and they seem pretty complex. I've seen mixed responses from various threads I looked into. Some fans saying this seems completely loony and like a total reach. Rune 2 would not be seen as a competitor to Bethesda in a lot of ways, and they've listed various reasons, as well as the fact that Bethesda doesn't have really anything coming out right now. So why would they care if a game similar to their Elder Scrolls stuff was released? I've also seen some people buying into this and saying, no, this does look like something that was some shady insider dealing because there is some merit to some of the accusations happening here. Personally, I'm withholding judging so far. This is a one-sided allegation. I've not seen a response as of yet from Bethesda, and I want to wait to see more details before I start making any bold claims. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. This is definitely going to be a bit of a spicy one here, and please just remember, my takeaway from this so far is that's some pretty serious allegations. I don't really know what to believe, and I recommend you check out these articles for yourself to see how much merit you feel they carry. I do, as of right now, lean towards that seems like a rather large stretch, and maybe this is a publicity stunt to try and get attention to their game, but I'm not saying that's any way fact, it's just the side that I'm seeing having a bit more steam behind it. And in a happy fun time quickie fantasy news update, Pips wants to say hello, and also Oscar Isaac has officially been cast as Moon Knight. That's pretty cool. I like that to break up these two lawsuit stories. Back into lawsuit stuff. And you know what? Let's just knock out the last lawsuit of the day so we can jump into some happier fun times after this one. This one does seem a little bit more clear cut. It involves Wizards of the Coast and Dragonlance. Dragonlance authors sued Dungeons & Dragons publisher Wizard of the Coast, and this one's not for $100 million, but for 10. We're going a little bit cheaper here. According to the documents filed the United States District Court October 16th, Hickman and Weiss alleged that in 2017 they were approached by Wizards of the Coast to write a new series of novels. The complaint alleges that the project was going well until early 2020, when Wizards was embroiled in a series of public relations issues with its two marquee franchises, Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering, as well as a high-profile claim of workplace hostility. After multiple alterations and rewrites to the first book in the series were ordered and completed on August 13th, Wizards informed the authors that they would not be approving any more drafts. That decision, Hickman and Weiss say, effectively terminated the project. When challenged about the grounds for such termination, the lawsuit states that Wizards' legal representative responded with the nonsensical statement, "We are not moving toward breach, but we will not approve any further drafts." Wizards' refusal to continue approving content related to the Dragonlance series effectively prevented Hickman and Weiss from publishing their work, short-circuited any effort to mitigate or modify their storylines, and prevented them from collecting their guaranteed advances, royalties, and incentive payments with Random House. Hence the lawsuit that we're now seeing. If you'd like to see a more comprehensive breakdown of this, luckily Taking 20 made a pretty awesome video on it. It's linked down below. I recommend, if you're curious about this, to look into it because he goes through everything that's going on here. And there's one comment in particular that really caught my eye. Good job breaking it down. One mistake though, the interference with the Random House contract was more explicit. The suit alleges that Wizards of the Coast contacted Random House prior to that meeting and told them the books would never get released. That led Random House to default on the second scheduled payment to the authors, which is what alerted them to the problem and led to the conference call. So Wizards of the Coast interfered with the contract between the authors and the publishers. So yeah, that's looking pretty clear cut to me. Again, this is one-side allegations, we're not seeing responses, but especially that response hits me wrong where it's like, we're not breaching contract, but we're not going to let this go any further. Like, what the hell? I am open-minded to seeing counter information. It's just like allegations on this level where they're already providing quotes, and it's not just kind of like the mysterious stuff we're seeing from the last one. I'm more like, okay, I'm on your side. I'm open to a counter argument. Show me what you got, Wizards of the Coast, but with your existing reputation, not a good look. Not a good look at all. But my God. Let's move into some happier news, shall we? MGM has acquired the comic Mercy Sparx, which is about a she-demon from hell whose time on Earth sparks an existential crisis. You got me at she-demon there, MGM. I haven't read this comic, but I will probably pay attention to that adaptation. We also had a producer sign on for the Battlestar Galactica movie. I did not even know this was in the works, but we got Simon Kinberg. And if you're not familiar with his prior work, he was involved in Fanforstic. But he was also involved in The Martian, Logan, and Days of Future Past. That makes up for it for me. And I didn't even know a Battlestar Galactica movie was happening. I don't think I've reported it here on the channel, so double update, you got a producer, writer, and a movie. Netflix has also made the statement that they're looking to expand and continue their animation created content, and they've officially struck deals with 4 producers in Japan and Korea. Now, I know with some of the trailers and reaction we've seen to some of their animation attempts in the past, it's easy to just dunk on this, but I'm always open-minded to a studio doing better, and not every anime that Netflix has put out has been negatively received. Some of them have been positively, taken in by the audience and been like, that was good, I like that. So I'm rooting for you, Netflix, just please give us less of this style of animation. That is disgusting, I don't like its visual appeal. If I'm gonna like an anime, a large reason I'm gonna be interested and enjoy it is because of the art of it itself. There's no better example of that in like Studio Ghibli, right? Not that I'm saying they need to reach that level, but that's part of the beauty of anime that people really look for. Beauty in the animation. That is not beautiful. That is a drug-fueled nightmare. And the Evil Dead remake apparently will have a heroine taking the lead, according to this latest statement from those involved. And I'm sure many people who have not seen the movie yet will be either thrilled by this or angered by it. And I just see it as, all right, cool. Let's see if it's actually any good before we talk about this. But in the final piece of fantasy news I want to cover here today, yes, there have been set photo leaks for the Wheel of Time. I was sent them about 300 trillion times by various people. And as I said before, I don't really want to continue to cover these. I see them as a spoiler in a way for myself, as well as it's just like, I want to see the things that these people are working hard on in the best light possible. I don't want to see like, oh, this costume given away by just some person taking a shot from way too far away. So I will link them down below, but I have not even looked at them. So if you want to see them, go right ahead. That's just my take on it. And I really don't fault people who do enjoy these kind of leaks. It's just personally not my thing. Anyway, guys, like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace. And of course, I'd like to record a special Patreon shout out to my latest high tier one, Longclaw 33.